Radio or the Evergreen State College. If you would like to express another opinion, address your comments to the General Manager, KAOS, the Evergreen State College, Cap 101, 2700 Evergreen Parkway Northwest, Olympia, Washington, 98505. To arrange a time for your own commentary, contact the General Manager at 360-867-6895 during regular weekday business hours.
Hello, this is Floyd Red Crow Westerman. Keep listening to 89.3 FM KAOS Olympia.
I used to be homeless. You were too. No land, no politics. Oxygenless astronauts. Galaxies without parameters. Lucky stars waiting for wishes. We used to gaze upon the globe and you'd say,
"Looks like suspended marbled water."
I looked the light and shadow, the way the bowl transformed to a cup, then a knife, and back again. The other stars moved so fast, racing past us to their end.
Let them go.
Without dominion for our souls, it was all so simple. Then I fell, and you did too, landing in very different territories, miles away from each other. And the politics between us only grew.
And that was When We Were Stars, Janet Rogers. And we got Janet on the line. And how are you?
Oh, yeah, hi. How is it going over there?
Oh, it's good. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm calling from Coast Salish territory up in, what is otherwise known as Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. And, we got all kinds of gray skies up this way. How about you guys?
Yeah, I'm looking out the window now, and it's been drizzling on and off, but yesterday was amazing. So we'll take a little bit of what I call the blessings of the rain, because that's what keeps it all green here up in the Northwest. And, so I'm excited. I've been chatting with G-Dub and myself. I know that you were up here a while back, and I wish I would have been able to get to the Longhouse, but I didn't get there. But been playing your music for a while.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and poetry. And Alex sent me Got Your Back. And so
good, yeah.
I've been playing that one. So I just want to give you a chance to introduce yourself, and then whatever is on your heart, want to share tonight. I know there's a lot going on in the world, and our voices need to be heard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a fact. Well, Brian, I really, really appreciate the opportunity to join you on the air there. The airwaves is such a wonderful place for Indians to gather. I love the medium. As a matter of fact, I do a couple of shows up here too. But first, don't let me get ahead of myself here. I'm going to just say, so my name is Janet Rogers, and I'm Mohawk Tuscarora from the Six Nations Territory in Southern Ontario. I was born and now reside in Coast Salish Territory, like I said, Victoria, British Columbia. But I was born in Vancouver, BC, and it's very exciting times. And, I'm all kinds of excited that we have, at the beginning of this year, 2013, we have come together, Indigenous people have come together as sort of woken up. But it's not really a waking up from a sleep. It's just a reinvigoration, I would call it, of our political responsibilities and our responsibilities to the earth as well, to bring our energies together in a good way to protect what is here. What we're seeing here, and when I say here, I mean the western part of the Turtle, up north here in, I'm trying to avoid using the word Canada because it's all one big landmass. So on the western part of the Turtle here, there's been enormous floodings. I don't know if y'all have been hearing about that, but a few rivers in Alberta have flooded, extreme flooding, and there's many, many, many people being displaced. And of course, a lot of those rivers are flowing through Indigenous territory as well. So we just keep getting reminded, we keep getting reminded again and again that this is the earth is strong, it's strong enough to hold us, but it's also delicate, and this is what can happen, when there's continued interference, messing around, if you will, with the resources that are there. And so, and as a poet laureate of this city, I take whatever influence I may have in this position and in the duties as a poet laureate to, again, remind people that we have that responsibility, and not just as Indigenous people, but as human beings, as simple, plain old human beings who rely more than we'd like to admit on the earth beneath us. So that's what I do. That's what I do as a poet. I'm inspired by the earth and inspired by my individual responsibility I have here, as well as our responsibilities as a community of Indigenous people and beyond.
Absolutely, and I also want to echo that this is Turtle Island, and there is no border. And
thank you.
And as an Indigenous folk, we've known that since time immemorial. So we just want to. Right. I like myself. I'm from Akwesasne. It's a little town called Ogdensburg, but I don't really want to call it Ogdensburg because I want to call it what it is.
Right.
And it's Akwesasne, and it's upstate New York. So, and I hear a lot of stuff that's happening back home. I know that I think a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago, that they walked peacefully over the Cornwall Bridge, I believe it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And there's a lot happening on both sides, but up in your part of Turtle Island, there's this amazing stronghold that's happening right now. And
amazing. What? Say again?
Stronghold. Of Indigenous people coming together, and I think that is trickling down into this part of the Coast Salish territory.
Yeah, well, I didn't know you were also a West Coast Mohawk, Brian.
No, I just lived up there. It's
okay.
Yeah, but no, I'm Métis Cree from Canada and Italian. So
okay, yeah. Well, I'll say my mom's half Italian, so I got a quarter Italian, rocking the Italian blood from the upstate New York area.
So it's a tribe.
It's a tribe in itself. You got that right.
Yeah.
But yeah, what I see happening, and again, in this territory, I owe so very much to the Coast Salish people on whose territory I'm a visitor. And since I arrived here in '94, it's been the Coast Salish people who have really embraced me. And as a result, I've been able to flourish and blossom as an artist. And if I didn't have that support and was never, haven't been embraced, if you will, brought into the fold, if you will, of the Salish people. I don't know if that would have ever been possible because, I look to the, the owners of this territory and I take direction from them. And this is a very humbling place to come from. As you may know, a Mohawk person, we're doers, man. There's a lot of our language is based on verbs, and we do. This is just what we do. And so in this territory, I operate somewhat differently, but I am here for those Salish people as well. And they vibrate, can I say, at a different level. They're real. They got a real nice vibe. It's the gentler vibe, and even still, even with that gentle vibe, they too, in this time, have rallied because they see what's going on in the government, and that it is this continuation. And I'm not using the word, I think, out of step here, but the genocide that continues to happen on these territories and with the people. So I'm really pleased to lend my strength and my experience and support to the Coast Salish people on whose territory I'm a visitor. And so it's a beautiful, beautiful area, as I'm sure you well know. Those trees talk. The trees that are out here, they talk.
Absolutely.
And there's a lot of message and energy that comes off of that ocean as well. So, I didn't even start writing. I wasn't even a writer until 2 years after I moved here. So that's really saying something. I found myself here, and as a result, that's how I continue to express myself now as a poet is I use my words to honor the territory.
Absolutely. I just want to echo those feelings because I know that the first people of this land, I'm really grateful to be able to be on your land. And that I feel that love from them. And I, the genocide you talk about, that's, from the East Coast, 500 years of contact. So, of course, we're going to be a little bit harder on that end. Because I just call it an energy. The energy came to this part of the world, and and I'm grateful. Like they still have the wampum belt. They're still speaking and still sharing. And I guess Oren Lyons was just he's at somewhere 2 days ago, and he was speaking to the people about the continuing of peace. Of the peacemaker, and so I'm excited to connect all those energies because that's what I feel is happening with Indigenous people. That they know, they've always known, and it's time to connect. Because that prayer.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I do radio up here as well, and I'm pretty much talking the same talk as I am with you now. And what I do add, I make certain to add is that yes, the message always comes with a qualifier, and that is we do this because there is a next generation coming up. And I want to put another added qualifier on that and say yes, we do want to do this for the next generation coming up. But we also need to do it to live as, again, human beings with integrity who are living up to our responsibility right here and right now. Never mind looking ahead. We don't know what's going on ahead of us, but we can do that right now for ourselves and for the people who are around us now. So yeah, we do want to, we want to do that for the future, but we also want to do that now to prove that we are upholding our responsibility today.
Absolutely.
We have to do that.
Absolutely, because if we're not doing it now, there will be no future.
That's it. That's exactly right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But that's all fun and good. So I'm glad you played the CD. Thank you for doing that. Can I speak a little bit about the CD?
Absolutely. Let's
okay.
talk a little bit about
that
project.
Yeah, that was the track you heard when we were stars. Talks about the indigenous and the Haudenosaunee cosmology. Talking about when we actually were stars up in the sky, when we were the stardust, and we were looking out from our star places up in the sky world. And we fall as we fall into this earth, just like Sky Woman did, hearkening back to the Haudenosaunee creation stories. And when we're here on the earth, that's when we have to start to be political beings. You know, the politics between us only grew. Once we have land under our feet, it's a political thing. And yes, we can concentrate on that and also practice the spirituality and the culture and, you know, the lifestyles that make us who we are. So that's what that track is about. And I was just really pleased to be able to record that with Alex Jacobs, who is another Mohawk from Ekstasis, and he lives down the southwest, so in Santa Fe. So he's a southwest Mohawk, I'm a northwest Mohawk, and we got together and made this recording. And it was nominated in the spoken word category at the NAMAS, the Native American Music Awards, and I'm really appreciative of the fact that the NAMAS does have a spoken word category, because the other Native music awards that are out there do not have that category. And I just really appreciate the fact that there are places and radio stations and programs that support poetry and indigenous poetry at that. So thanks, Brian.
No, it's something that I feel that's needs to happen more of. I think. Well, I've always said this, but it's my own. It might be my own head, but I know the '60s. There's a lot going on and a lot sharing. I believe that the '90s is when it started really opening up for Indigenous people, and I encouraged them to speak. And I love the spoken word, and I myself grew up on Trudel, and
right on.
And I just I love it, and my wife's a poet, and I just feel that we've been silent too long, and we need to talk more and share, and so I going there. So you basically, when you got up to this area, you started to become a poet. Is that
exactly? Yeah, there's something in the air, the water, the trees, whatever it was. And yeah, it's the creative voice. And, I really think that the messages and what I have seen too, I'm going to mention the I Don't Know More. Once I started seeing that movement become really, really strong, I also saw at the same time the creative voices, the voices of the artists becoming strong as well. And that, and that speaks to, our ability to articulate the politics in a creative way. And I was just really excited to see what came out of there. There's a lot of music that's come out of there, and if people want to, want proof of that, then I'm gonna say go to the website www.rpm.fm. There's 2 volumes of songs that have come out that are dedicated to the movement itself, and a lot of video. I know that there's a really clever media artist here, Cowboy Smith, who's done a couple of videos for I Don't Know More, and so check out his stuff. And and of course I have I Don't Know More poetry for sure, and have been recording some stuff. I have a little SoundCloud page, so not to be too promotional in that way, but just to say if you want proof of the artist, the part that the artist plays in any of these movements, it's there. It's there if you look for it. So I'm just really pleased to be part of the movement in that way as well, and encourage anybody who has a creative voice to please lend it to this movement, because there's lots of inspiration there. And yes, maybe the message within that is the same message that we were talking about in the 60s and the 70s and on, but we need to keep that presence alive and create that space for that voice as well. So make sure, even if you think, I can't write or whatever, just go ahead and give it a try. You don't have to wait for anybody to give you permission to call you a writer. If you write, then you're a writer. So there you go.
And I want to just, again, I love what you just said, because I think it, has a lot of the same message, but it was not Indigenous fed. And that's the difference between this movement and the 60s.
That's it.
And I know that that's where the deepest wound is, and so it has to be led by the original people of the world. And I believe that no, I don't say believe. I don't like that word. I know in my heart that that's the way.
Right.
You know, because they're the oldest voice on the land, and I know from the spoken word and the word itself, you know, when I hear the old language, you know, I had Jake Edwards, I was speaking to him a couple weeks back, and he's from Onondaga area, and I grew up in upstate New York, and so when I hear that language, I can see the trees, I can see the water, I can, you know, the St. Lawrence, I can see the canoes, I can see all of it when I hear the old language. And I know that the trees and the water and the rocks, all the elements respond differently.
Yeah.
So I know in my heart that that's the indigenous people have to lead.
It's true, yeah. And you know, I've gone on record to say that, you know, I know when we're addressing government or when we're talking, you know, making our point to government, they don't speak in that language. They don't speak in a language that includes the heart, and they don't speak in a language that impacts their emotions. When you speak to government, the only thing I think that really translates is the language of commerce. And so, how do you take what you need to say about the environment and the relationship that we have with the environment and so on, and translate that into a government language that's going to be effective, and put that into the ears of the people who can affect change. You know what I mean? So there is still a disconnect, because, you know, land to some people just equates to dollars or development or, you know, what they can get out of it. And whereas, you know, the indigenous relationship to land is anything but that. It means so much more. So anyways, I've discovered through this movement that's part of the problem. It's the inability to speak the same language about the same thing.
Absolutely.
So,
and
yeah.
I had another friend of mine tell me that if whoever, you know, I use the terms loosely, if they would just go back to their indigenous roots, we could talk. You know, and then there would be what you just said. There wouldn't be that disconnect because the land would mean the same.
Right.
You know, and so I think it's really important for us to remember that. And I was wondering, I didn't know if you wanted to read anything tonight or share anything.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, and
I got some poems ready for you, Brian. For sure. So let me just. First I got to get my glasses on my head here because I can't. Anyways, yeah, I got. I have a long form poem. There's, it seems to be the trend in poetry these days, or the trend up here, anyways. In poetry, is that the how can you say, the publishers are asking poets, you know, let's work in long form poems because it seems to be a trend these days. But here, I'm going to read you a piece. Actually, let me see. I'm just shuffling through. I do have a long form one, so you let me know if that's okay to read that one, or if you would like
absolutely
a shorter one.
Whatever one wants to be heard.
Okay.
I know they're all your babies, right?
Okay, yeah, I know. That's true. I've got all my babies in front of me here. I'll read you this kind of shorter one here, actually. It's called Directional Geometry 101. And just to let you know that how this was written is I was taking a drive through the interior of what we call British Columbia and was very inspired. And I discovered, you know, when I'm inspired, all the phrases come, they just come, and from, you know, that mysterious place, and I really, really wanted to capture those phrases as they came. So I discovered, hey, I have a voice recorder on my telephone. So as I was driving, I was turning on and off my voice recorder on the cell phone, and was able to capture this piece, Directional Geometry 101. This was dreamed into being. The light, the lines, sounds and vibes. I follow roads that bend like E strings used to play the blues. And suddenly, I understand all the lyrics. Following audio slaves into towns through cities, dressed and arrested for pleasure and pity, sound slaves gather in freedom festivals, celebrations of disconnection. I'm passing. I'm pausing. To pick up clues, I'm hungry to stop and stay. There is no way, no reason rich enough to lure me from this road. I go and keep going. Rolling past lovely snow, heavy limbs, this trip gives lots of opportunity to think about tragedy. Listening to Mr. Young sing, I am just a dreamer, and you are just a dream. Freedom rings high in the hills. It does not sound like babies' cries, but an avalanche of love. It sounds like the mist whispering to the mountains, meet you later. Traveling with no one but Creator and the directions made possible by ancestors. Colonials divide the land in crisscross checker borders. Where did you say you come from again? I'm passing Sasquatch land. I'm passing Big Brother, blocking my view, and I'm passing the night without you. Holding onto freedom, gathered from high on hills. The price is sacrifice and pain. I come from here, and nowhere does my heart beat stronger, faster, louder, out of sync with the rest, matching the wild pace of nature. This is normal. Thank you.
That's beautiful.
Thanks.
And I can feel the the depth of where your heart is for who you are as a human being.
Cheers. Yeah, it's been good. I'm pleased to be in this position as a poet laureate. It's a 3-year term, and I'm in the second year of the 3-year term as poet laureate, and it's really provided a lot of opportunity to speak. To different pockets of the community as like this in this official capacity as a poet. Where I have to admit that in that position you get the opportunity to for people to listen, and when they listen, you're able to communicate these things. Like for example, last year, the city of Victoria, which sits on top of Lekwungen land, was celebrating its 150th year of being incorporated as a city. So as the poet laureate, I was asked to write the official poem for that. And, I wrote a poem, an epic 6-page poem called Lekwungen Land. And it was all from the perspective of, the indigenous person pre-Victoria, the city. So, and I got to read that in council in front of a lot of, esteemed guests, I guess you would say. And I was just really, really pleased that the piece was well received, and I was able to do that for the people of this territory, and not in a messiah kind of way, but as a way to say, hey, thank you for, again, for accepting me into your territory, and this is what I want to do for you, and that is, lend my poetic voice to all our cause. And so, yeah, it's good in that way. You get these little ways to pay back, and these little, opportunities that come along.
Well, it's also, the envisioning all your ride and how free you feel and how free you are. And, like, I think in the youth and how they need to hear that and how that, that because we hear where are you from, like all the time. And it's like, we're here, and I feel like sometimes, because I think that's a real good one for the youth to hear, because they're feeling right now of being trapped. You talked about no borders, how deep down, you feel the land and how all that encompasses is who you are.
Yeah, it's precarious at best. I'm sure you know what that experience is like, Brian. And it's funny when, I do a lot of research on this one particular poet, E. Pauline Johnson, who is a Mohawk poetess back in the early 1900s. And I went back home because she's from Six Nations, and I was asking the curators of her museum and people, and I said, do you think she was ever split? Because she was English, she had an English mom, and her dad was Mohawk chief from back home. And I said, well, do you ever think that she felt split in her identity? And I got a really, really wise answer, and one of the women said, we're all split. We're all struggling with this dual identity because of who we are. We live in these urban centers, and it's a struggle to maintain our identity and to continually create a presence for Indigenous people in urban centers. And I just thought, that makes a whole lot of sense. And it's okay to embrace that duality. It's okay to embrace the struggle that comes with that duality, as long as you create a space for yourself,
Right.
So I was really appreciative of that answer. It almost made my shoulders drop a little, like with relief, you're right, that's right. That's just the reality of it. And,
Yeah, it brings
a lot of people have the same experience.
It brings me to, we've been talking a lot about how all of us are fragmented. And I remember talking to a friend of mine where he was telling me that, the human, has been eroding for a long time. It's because of all the divisiveness that is coming, wherever it's coming from, the genocidal approach that's still happening. That's the whole thing that I want to bring home, is that it's still happening. Most folks, it's stopped, but with Indigenous people, it's still very much alive and still happening, and it goes back to a lot of that identity, because the land, they want the land, and the Native people know that we are the land.
We are the land, yeah.
We are the mother, and so it comes back to what you said earlier. It's like that disconnect a lot of the rest of society has, and I was talking about with my friend Tiokasan last week about like everyone's trying to subdue the earth, that dominant culture, and she's just moving. And we talked about how, instead of rebuilding on places that she's telling you that you shouldn't do, they're putting all this money into rehabilitating and putting the same buildings up, and we could be doing something different.
Yeah,
she's trying to show us.
It's true, and because of the relationship to the land that we have. I mean, we are only going to be as healthy as the land is beneath us. So, and if you're in an area that, is completely paved over, I'll say, for example, like Vancouver, for instance, is, you're going to get a lot of people who are disconnected culturally and spiritually from the land. And if you're in an area where the land is being completely pillaged, then your spirit's going to feel pillaged. It's going to feel out of sorts. So yeah, I mean that's the other reason that the struggle, the fight to keep the earth healthy and keep her safe from overdevelopment or just development in general is so paramount in what we do today. It's because we rely on the healthy earth for us to be healthy as well. So, and I know that I'm not saying anything brand new here, man. This is stuff we know in our guts, and we've been told for many, many years now. But somehow it doesn't get listened to, and, so that's why we have to keep doing these things. And, in terms of the movement, like the I Don't Know More movement, or whatever movement you want to call it. I know that people, the name itself is a little contentious within the movement, but irregardless, it's, I don't know where it's going to go. All I know is that I was really thrilled to see everyone band together. I mean, we are powerful beyond articulation. So, I just want to keep seeing that happen throughout Indian country, and for example, over this weekend there was, we're celebrating, I'm going to use air quotes here, National Aboriginal Day, okay, up here in Canada. And, so there's a lot of entertainment and things like that. People, in feathers and things, drumming and what have you. It's all good. But, and then people are getting together in crowds of like 300,000. It's like, well, if you can get 300,000 Indians together, man, then do something, like if that's what it takes to bring the people together, good music and a celebration of culture, then make sure you have a message ready for the people, because that's an opportunity right there. You know what I mean?
That's amazing. If you think about it, it's.
I know.
And there is more of us than there is of them. That's the whole thing.
Well, that's exactly right. I know. It's a fallacy to think that we're the minority culture anymore. We're not, man. The brown nations are the majority, and what are we doing with this? That power. It's power. We're influencing. Because we have great numbers, we're influencing commerce. We have the ability to influence commerce with our purchases or other, what we prefer, and so on and so forth, and right on down the line. And that's how to get the attention of people who supposedly, run things. Is to make your wise choices in your whole lifestyle, and make your vote count that way.
Absolutely. And so it's about 25 to 5, and this is Chaos Radio, and this is we're speaking with Janet Rogers, and thanks for tuning in. So I also want to, I know that you do radio yourself. I want to talk a little bit about that, because it's Victoria's only native program, and it's
Yeah. Well, I started hitting the airwaves on campus community radios in 2007. And I used to co-host with these two guys who are actually Northwest Coast, and they're students up at the university. And I've never been a student up at the university, but they used to let me come in and co-host with them. And the show was called Unreserved back then. And it was really, really badly organized, so I used to call it Unrehearsed. And we had a good joke about that. But and then one of the fellows, he passed on, and the other fellow, he went to go live on his home territory. And that was many years ago. And then in 2006, around Christmas time, holiday time, I kind of got a voice in my ear, and I really think it was the fellow who passed on. He came and he said, he goes, "You should do radio." And that's exactly what I heard in my ear. And he goes, "You should do radio." And so that was December of 2006. By February of 2007, I was on the air, and so I've been holding down this program called Native Waves Radio, which airs every Tuesday from 2 until 3 p.m. on www.cfuv.uvic.ca. And, there's a lot of freedom, as you well know, on campus community radio that, you wouldn't ordinarily have otherwise in other radio forms. And then as a result, 2 years after that, I was invited to do a radio music column on CBC, and CBC is the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, the Mother Corp, as they call it. And so I've been doing it started out as weekly, but now it's bi-weekly music column where I get to introduce listeners to, and this is listeners all throughout British Columbia, to new native music. And of course, there too, they tell me they prefer to have British Columbian musicians, and then after that, Canadian musicians. But I don't recognize that border, just like you said, Brian. So I go all over the map, all over the turtle, and I bring back great music by indigenous artists. And trust me, there's a lot out there. So I've got a lot to actually choose from, which is a blessing in itself.
Yeah, it's great, and just to say what G-Dub always says, very diverse.
Absolutely, we're occupying all those genres and doing it very well too. By the way,
Yeah. So there's a lot of new and upcoming too, and that's just another piece of what we're talking about, because that's that voice. Is filling that spot that needs to be filled.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm grateful to be here and sitting in the chair. Like I say, I don't really. I learn more than I can even put in words. That the old ones and the just the spirit. I've grown so much since in the last 5 years, listening to our elders especially, and the voice. That voice of the spirit that I know that's in your poetry.
Sure.
So we might be able to share another one?
Sure, I would be happy to share another one. We had, another really predominant issue within our community now is how to keep women safe. And, there's some efforts that happen on an annual basis. Actually, there's annual walk. It's a fundraising walk that actually originated in San Francisco and takes place all over the continent now. And it's called Walk a Mile in Her Shoes. And money raised in those efforts go towards educational programming to enlighten and educate the gentlemen in particular on how they can raise their own consciousness in terms of the part that they play in keeping women safe. And that's, that starts all the way, down from the language that is used to, behavior, interactive behavior, and so on and so forth. So I was pleased when they approached me this year to write a particular piece for that fundraiser, and so this is called Walk a Mile. We want more, and we want it now. We want it to stop, and we want it to stop now. Lies are violence. Stop telling lies and holding back facts. There is only truth, and you know this. We know this. We feel it. Truth is a choice, so choose it. It will set you free. Freedom is worth it. We are survivors with many scars, lined along body territories, brought together, making road maps, looking like turtles back. This land mass, our home, where sisters go missing, we miss them. This physical place so disconnected. We can't hear them when they call to us. They keep calling to us. Come back, sisters, to the teepees and lodges. Come back, aunties, to the big houses and wigwams. Come back, grannies, to the forest deep lean-tos. Come back, clan mothers. More than ever, we need you. Do not walk softly. Instead, let your steps resound on solid ground, traveling down into earth, where my grandmother sleeps and yours does too. We knock on her door and say, show us the way, teach us the words, feed us knowledge, and reconnect us to earth. Criminalized catastrophes make headlines every time. This time it takes to keep us safe takes up so much. Hours better spent collecting beautiful lessons and blurring the lines between us until we begin to move together, venturing outward under magical moonlight without worry of darkness or danger. Run in celebration through light-filled fields. This need for protection produces so much distraction, makes my head and body ache with exhaustion. Stay calm. Reclaim your place. If we can really walk in her shoes, we wouldn't be walking at all, but running for our lives, running with the wolves. We stand and watch digital clocks roll over into another year without resolution or solution. We see elders mimic creators in folded arm stances. They ask, you don't know? War is wrong yet? You haven't learned to stop the violence? Simple teachings are within reaching. We take it one step to the next. We make it our business to correct this. We expand our minds to the endless possibilities. It looks like razor-sharp wit and feels like fire flares, sounds like heartbeats on the ground. So you better walk loud, because there is nothing more powerful or threatening than a woman naked, standing in nothing, save her intoxicating beauty, her gorgeous forthrightness, her strength to protect those she loves. No weapon can penetrate this. Action, Our survival is a political action. We walk with intention. Our legacy is us as living examples, agents of change, moving in unison. It is time, it is time, it is time to move the mountain. Thank you.
Well, there's a lot in that. What I feel when I hear the words that you were speaking, coming back to that sacredness of the feminine, you know, the identity that has been buried through the violence towards Mother Earth and the women that walk on Mother Earth. And I love that you talked about returning to the wildness. That brings that balance back that we need, and that healing. I can feel the healing in that poem.
Oh, right on. Good. Yeah. It was meant to inspire the walkers, because after that, then we all actually walked a mile, or up here they call it a kilometer, but whatever. Yeah.
There's those words again.
Walked a mile. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So, yeah. So, good.
Beautiful. And we got about 15 more minutes, and I was just, I know that we talked a lot about different things throughout this hour, but I always like to, you know, they have a saying here in coastal country, if you don't say if we haven't said what we need to say, it'll follow us around until we do. And so, so if there's something that, you know, that the spirits are telling you that needs to be said, I'd love to give you the opportunity to share.
That's nice. That makes me go inward and think a little bit here. I'm going to be traveling a lot this summer, and I just really look forward to meeting all the beautiful people. There's a lot of beautiful people in this world. I know that we talked a lot today about the tragedies and the difficulties and the struggles that exist out there, and in the political forms, but and cultural forms and so on. But I just really hope that people remember and remind themselves that there's a lot of beautiful people out there too on the trail that maybe you haven't met yet, or who you have met, and just do what you can to help each other out. And because you know what, sometimes it takes a lot of work just to get out of bed in the morning, and I know what that's like. Not everybody has the drive or the inspiration they need to be the person that they're really, really meant to be, or to do the work that live the purpose that they're here to live on this earth. And I know that if you need it, reach out. I have seen so many examples of just simple asking and receiving in return. And so if you need something, ask for it, or if you have something, share it. That's just the simplest thing that I can think of to say right now from my heart. That's it.
All right. And so I'm going to, if you don't mind, I would like to play one more little piece, and then we could just talk a little bit about it. And I appreciate that you're out there doing what you're doing, and sharing and uplifting people, because your words are, like what you just said, are very much needed. We're here to encourage each other, to uplift each other, and to remember how much we need each other.
That's it, yeah.
So, I'm going to play Reflection, if that's okay. We can talk a little
Lovely, bit. Yeah, thank you. That'd be great.
All right, we'll play that, and we'll be right back.
Okay, this is for everybody here. It's called Woman Sacred.
history, reflected, shared, and collective stories. Spoken remembrances of token gifts given and taken away. Our lineage is long, with names coming down from names. We are made of these names. Family braids, thick as rope, pull us along, bring us up, save us from drowning in anonymous seas. For all generations. For all generations. We call him uncle, and in our relation equation, it adds up. They call me sister, biologically incorrect, makes us reflect on families. Generations to be rise like sparks, reproducing, perpetuating, reasons to gather fuel for future fires. We are the people who make the families, who build the communities, who dance in our future. Living, breathing, cultural faces, reflective faces of Grand People's love for yesterday, tomorrow, and today. For all generations. For all generations.
Yeah, that one is Reflections, and that one is off Got Your Back also, and that's Janet Rogers.
And Donny Hathaway.
That DJ Jesse too. Let's not forget.
That's right, DJ Jesse, who mixed the Donny Hathaway sound. That was recorded live. When we put that CD out, Got Your Back CD, we made it a combination of studio recordings and live recordings that we did both in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and gosh, there was a lot. So that particular recording was a live recording that we did at the Museum of Contemporary Native Art right in Santa Fe, and it was a lot. We were just going to be kind of smart alecky and put out a double album because we had so much material between Alex Jacobs and myself, and we thought, that'll just make people angry. They'll go, who do these poets think they are putting out a double album, right? Like this? Who are we, Leonard Skinner, or somebody like that, right? So anyways, we combined the studio and the live recordings. It was fun.
Good. And I appreciate it. We got about 5 more minutes, and I am here speaking with Janet Rogers. And I know that I have one more that I want to play before we say goodbye. But Sky Woman Falling. But talk a little bit about that.
Sky Woman Falling, that's the creation story. When I was, the very first encounter I had with Olympia, Washington, was over at the Evergreen State College, and it was a little residency, a week-long residency for artists, and at that time, I was a visual artist before I started writing, and I went down there and met with the Maori people, because there was a Maori contingent that came up from New Zealand, from Ojistah, and we were all talking about the creation stories. And lo and behold, the creation story from down and around that area includes a woman who comes down from the rope from the sky, And then, the Haudenosaunee, the Iroquois creation story is Sky Woman, who was living in the sky with her husband, chief of the sky world, and she falls through a hole in the sky, and she's pregnant. And she brings down her daughter, and she brings down these seeds from trees in the sky world and, casts them out onto the back of the turtle which becomes all the four colors of man. And so, anyways, I just like the parallels between those two stories, and I wanted to kind of bring back the original Sky Woman story and kind of modernize it a little bit. So I've got her. I wrote it like as if Sky Woman was blogging. She was blogging on her way down to the back of the turtle, and kind of brought her back into present day.
Right. Well,
that's what that piece is.
All right. Well, we'll play this one, and we come back and get you to do that station ID.
Cool.
All right. Thanks. Here we go. This is Sky Woman Falling.
I have the world in my belly. The weight pulls me uncontrollably south. Strangely, I don't care about the growing gap separating my husband and me. Why don't I care? I've already left, fallen through like Alice into a wonderland. Here I am fighting and befriending air. I am gasping like an astronaut. I am an autumn leaf. So this is freedom. This is freedom of flesh and emotion. So this is where the ancestors live, passing my vision like Dorothy and her dog. This is where we'll meet again. My husband.
My husband.
My unborn.
My unborn.
Her unborn.
Her unborn.
Everything is all around me. I hope this never ends. I hope this never ends. I hope this never ends. I'm going away and arriving. I have to remember this. I have to remember to breathe. I see something. I see something far off and small. That must be where I'm going. Could that be the future? I am the wingless angel, the shoeless traveler, a woman with answers packing instincts. Speed is increasing. This falling stops. I am caught. 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 Curious.
I am wide awake. The creature family worked so hard. All the water now released from me, and the pain has begun. They work with urgency, the little ones. They know another one comes. The earth beneath me grows as if with every breath, and I am clutching something. There in my palm are seeds I've never seen. Are they from the other place? The other place fades to memory, then doubt, then nothing. New dreams brought me here, and I must trust them. I embrace the pain of the coming of this new woman, a friend, a sister ally. The new world is expanding with land. I am landing, leaving and arriving. I am coming, I have gone. The wind commands my hand. At the same time the girl comes forth, and those alien seeds leave, tossed in a chaotic gust. Both are born, girl and man, never alone. Who are the people? What are we to do here? My girl joins me on the earth and is witness to its birth, the colors and directions, the laws that will follow. Home. I am home. I have made it.
Yeah, that was Sky Woman Falling, and are you still there, Janet?
I'm right here, man, yeah.
Yeah, so that's powerful. And again, like coming from that area, I could see it. I just, you know, I just, and lately I haven't been back to Akwesasne area in a very long time, and the land, you know, I can like where I grew up there. There's a little space in Frogtown. I don't know if you're familiar with the St. Regis area up in that.
Not really, no.
Mohawk territory up there in Hogansburg. There's a little like it's I don't know what to call it, but it's where you put in the canoes. It's a little area, and I could just I feel that calling, like to that, and I can see the that creation story and bringing it back into modern times, like comes back to what we were talking about earlier.
Cool, yeah. The river's calling you, it sounds like, Brian.
Yeah. So, I appreciate you taking the time to speak with us this evening, and I hope that we could do it again.
Sure, yeah, no, it's been my absolute pleasure. I really appreciate what you do. I appreciate, what you do bringing the indigenous presence onto the airwaves there in Olympia. So, yay, thanks very much.
Yeah. So, I've get you to maybe do that idea, and I really appreciate taking this hour with us this evening.
Sure.
To share.
Yeah. Should I do that just now?
Yeah, if you could, that'd be wonderful.
Sure. Okay. Hey, everybody. My name is Janet Rogers, and I'm the Mohawk Poet Laureate of Victoria, BC. It's my pleasure to be on Chaos Radio, 89.3 FM in Olympia, Washington. Yawagoa.
Thank you, and please keep in touch. Hope that we could again have another visit when you're free.
Yeah, right on, man. Cheers. Enjoy the summer, eh?
Yeah.